I wasn't looking for my family beneath a concrete overpass, but that's where I found them. My name is Ruth Whitaker, and I own a small candy shop in Desmos called Whitaker Confections. For 3 generations, our family has made caramel and coconut sweets by hand. A few months ago, I took a weekend trip to Charleston, South Carolina, hoping the sea air might quiet the ache that had been following me for years. My son Jason had cut ties with me after a painful argument 3 years earlier. His wife Amber told me they had moved to Australia, and I believed her. That afternoon, standing near a busy square, I had no idea the truth was just a few blocks away. By the time the sun set, I would discover my granddaughter had never left the country, and my son had been living a lie he didn't write. The air in Charleston that afternoon was warm and sweet with the scent of magnolia trees. Street performers played soft jazz near the fountain. I sat on a cool stone bench. That was when I saw her, a small girl sitting alone behind the fountain, clutching a rag doll that had only one eye. Her hair was tangled, her feet bare and dusty. She wasn't begging. Couple passed and a piece of cookie fell from their bag. The girl hesitated, glancing around before crawling forward to pick it up. She brushed it off and tucked it carefully into her torn pocket instead of eating it. Something about that small act hit me deep inside. I walked to a bakery nearby and bought 2 croissants and a small carton of chocolate milk. When I returned, I knelt down in front of her. "Here you go, sweetheart," I said softly. She looked up, startled, her dark eyes wary. But then I saw a tiny birthmark on her eyelid, shaped like a teardrop. My heart froze. That mark was identical to the one my son Jason had since birth. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as I held out the bag of pastries. The little girl stared at me. Then, with slow, hesitant movements, she reached out and took it. Her small fingers brushed mine cold, fragile, trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. I forced a smile and nodded. My granddaughter Lily was supposed to be in Australia. Before I could speak, the girl looked straight into my eyes and said something that made the world tilt. "Grandma, is that really you?" I stumbled back, shaken. "No, sweetheart. Must be mistaken," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "My granddaughter lives far away." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't argue. She just stood there watching me as I turned to leave. I walked away quickly, every step heavier than the last. But then I heard her behind me running, calling through her tears. "Grandma, don't go! Please!" I stopped in the middle of the narrow alley. Couldn't walk away. The little girl tugged at my coat, her small hand trembling but determined. "If you don't believe me," she said softly, "I'll take you to my dad. When you see him, you'll believe me." My mind screamed to walk away, but my heart had already decided. I followed her as she led me away from the busy streets toward the edge of the city. The laughter and music faded behind us until all I could hear was the distant rush of water. We reached a dirt path that ran along a quiet river hidden beneath an old concrete bridge. The air grew colder, thick with the smell of damp earth and rust. There were cardboard boxes spread on the ground, a few bottles, and a burned-out fire pit. The girl let go of my hand and ran forward. "Dad, look who I found," she called out. A man stood with his back to us, sorting through a pile of scrap metal. His clothes were torn, his hair matted, his shoulders thin and tired. He turned at the sound of her voice, and the world seemed to stop. Even under the dirt and unshaven beard, I recognized him instantly. It was Jason, my son. My purse slipped from my hand and hit the ground. I stood frozen, my breath caught somewhere between disbelief and heartbreak. My son had been here all along, living beneath the bridge. Before I could speak, Jason turned away, his voice broken. "Please, just leave. We don't have anything to give you." The last time I saw him, 3 years earlier, I was making chili, Jason's favorite since childhood. He had stormed in, his face red with anger. Behind him was Amber, his wife, with tears that looked carefully placed. "Mom," Jason said coldly, "why are you talking about Amber to the neighbors? You said she's lazy, that she only spends my money. Jason, that's not true. Amber's soft sobs filled the room. I just can't take her cruelty anymore, she whispered. Jason didn't let me speak. From now on, I don't want you in my life. Even if I starve, I'll never come back. He grabbed Amber's hand and walked out, slamming the door. Weeks later, Amber texted me from his phone. We're moving to Australia. Forget us. But now, standing under that bridge, I realized she had lied. My son had never gone anywhere at all. Jason stood motionless, his shoulders trembling, unable to meet my eyes. Then he sank to his knees, his face buried in his hands. Mom, I'm sorry, he choked out. It's all my fault. His words shattered me, but I didn't let him finish. I reached for his arm, my voice steady, though my heart was breaking. Enough, Jason. You've suffered long enough. You and Lily are coming home with me. He shook his head, whispering through tears. I don't deserve that. You're my son, I said, gripping his hand firmly. And she's my granddaughter. That's all that matters. That night, we boarded a bus bound for Iowa. Lily sat between us, holding my fingers tightly. Jason stared out the window, silent, lost in the dark reflections. When the bus rumbled through the night, I promised myself I would fix what was broken. No more bridges, no more running. When we arrived in Desmos, the morning light had just begun to spread across the quiet streets. The familiar scent of sugar and caramel drifted from the small workshop behind my house. Jason hesitated at the gate, his eyes full of shame. Mom, I don't know if I can walk in there, he murmured. This is your home, Jason. It always was. Inside, the house felt the same as it had 3 years ago, except for the silence that had settled in its corners. I took Lily straight to the bathroom and filled the tub with warm water. When I helped her take off her old clothes, I could see faint bruises on her thin arms. My chest ached, but I kept my voice calm. As I washed her hair, she sighed softly. Grandma, the water feels so warm. You can have a warm bath every day now, sweetheart, I whispered. Afterward, I gave her a pink dress I had bought years ago. It fit perfectly. She smiled shyly, and for a moment the house felt alive again. Jason shaved, cleaned up, and put on one of his father's old shirts. He stood awkwardly in the doorway. Do I look okay? He asked. You look like my son again. The days that followed were quiet but full of small changes. Jason kept himself busy, helping me in the workshop. At first, he swept the floors, cleaned the counters, and carried sacks of flour as if hard work could wash away the guilt he carried. I let him. One afternoon, while I struggled with my old order notebook, Jason came over. Mom, you're still doing everything by hand? He asked gently. It's how your grandfather did it, I said with a shrug. He smiled faintly and sat down at my dusty computer. Let me show you something. Within a few days, he had built a simple website for Whitaker Confections. He photographed our caramel squares and coconut clusters, added warm captions, and shared stories about our family recipes. Soon, people began placing online orders. It started small, but then the notifications multiplied. People love the story, Mom, Jason said one morning, his voice brighter than I'd heard in years. We spent nights packaging sweets together while Lily stamped each box with a tiny red heart. She giggled every time the ink smeared. And for the first time in years, laughter filled the kitchen again. It wasn't just candy we were making anymore. It was hope, one batch at a time. It happened on a bright afternoon when the shop smelled of fresh caramel and customers were lined up outside. I was at the counter wrapping boxes when I heard the sound of a car stopping abruptly by the gate. A sleek taxi door opened and a woman stepped out wearing a fitted navy dress and dark sunglasses. Jason froze where he stood, a tray of pralines in his hands. Lily looked up confused. The woman slowly removed her sunglasses and my stomach turned to stone. Amber, she smiled. That same cold, perfect smile I remembered. The one that never reached her eyes. Jason, she said softly, you look good. I came to see my daughter. Lily shrank behind her father, clutching his shirt. Dad! Who is she? She whispered. Jason's jaw tightened. You have no right to be here, Amber. You left us. Her tone hardened. I'm still Lily's mother, and I want what's mine half of the shop. We built it together. I stepped forward, standing between her and the child. My voice was calm, but it carried years of pain. Leave, Amber. You're not welcome here. She smirked, turned toward the watching customers, and said under her breath, "We'll see about that." Within a week of Amber's visit, everything began to unravel. It started with a single post in a local food group online. The username was New Mom for Truth. The post read, "Warning, my son got sick after eating candy from Whitaker Confections. Please be careful." Attached was a blurry photo of our caramel box taken in bad lighting. At first I tried to ignore it, but by evening dozens of comments had appeared, most from new accounts. Yes, I tasted something strange, too. Their ingredients aren't safe. I heard they used cheap chemicals. The phone started ringing, not for orders, but for cancellations. A supplier paused deliveries until the matter was cleared up. Even our export partner in Canada suspended the deal temporarily. One night, someone threw eggs at our door. The smell of rot clung to the porch. I found Jason sitting on the steps, head in his hands. "Mom," he said quietly, "maybe we should close the shop. I'll give Amber what she wants. Can't watch this anymore." I knelt beside him. "No, Jason, we've done nothing wrong. This bakery is our family's soul. Your grandfather built it with his bare hands, and I'll be damned if I let her destroy it." Inside, Lily sat at the kitchen table, her eyes red. "Grandma," she whispered, "kids at school said our candy makes people sick. Is that true?" I hugged her tightly. "No, sweetheart. Our candy is made with love, and love doesn't poison people." That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat alone in the kitchen. I opened the old wooden chest where my late husband kept his contacts. I found a name I hadn't seen in years. Gerald Brooks, a retired investigator. The next morning I called him. "Carol, it's Ruth Whitaker. I need help. Someone's destroying my family." He listened quietly, then replied, "I'll be there tomorrow." When he arrived, he brought someone with him, a young lawyer named Maya Reynolds. We sat in my living room, the air thick with tension. Jason told them everything. Maya took notes quickly, then looked up. "We'll need 3 things, she said. "Proof of your innocence, evidence of her defamation, and documentation from your divorce case. If Amber left a paper trail, we'll find it." Gerald leaned forward. "I'll handle the digital side. Fake accounts don't just appear out of nowhere. Someone created them, and they'll lead back to her." Jason rubbed his temples. "Do you really think we can stop her?" I reached across the table, taking his hand. "We're not just stopping her. We're taking back our life. For the first time in days." I saw something flicker in Jason's eyes. Hope 2 days later, Gerald called and asked us to meet him at the shop. He laid out his findings on the counter like pieces of a puzzle. Every social media account spreading those lies was created within the same week, he explained. All from one IP address located in a small internet cafe in Charleston. "Charleston," I whispered. "That's where I met Lily." Gerald nodded. "Exactly." And guess who appeared on the cafe's security footage during those posting hours? He slid a printed still across the counter. Amber's face was unmistakable. Maya arrived soon after holding a folder of her own. I also checked the hospital from the viral video. She said, "The boy in that clip, he wasn't poisoned. He had an asthma attack." His mother admitted Amber paid her to stage the scene. Jason's jaw tightened. "She paid someone to fake a child's illness." "Yes," Mia said calmly. "And there's more." She opened another folder and pulled out a copy of his divorce file. Near the end was a page signed by Amber, her own handwriting, clear and legible. It read, "I am Amber Cole. After receiving all assets from Jason Whitaker, waive any future claim to his property or financial support." Jason stared at it in shock. "She signed this herself." Maya nodded, voluntarily and notarized. "She can't claim anything now. Not the shop, not custody, not a cent." Gerald leaned back with a satisfied smile. "And one last thing, Amber isn't rich anymore. She lost every dollar she took from you in a bad crypto scheme. That's why she came back. Amber hadn't returned for love or forgiveness. She came back for money and revenge. The day of the hearing arrived like a storm. The courthouse was packed with reporters. Amber sat at the defendant's table in a deep red dress, her hair sleek, her smile confident. Jason's hand trembled as we took our seats. "Stay calm," I whispered. "The truth doesn't need to shout." Amber's lawyer spoke first, his tone dramatic. He painted Amber as a devoted mother forced into hardship. He called the woman from the viral video as a witness, and she recited her lines with tears. It all felt rehearsed. When it was our turn, Mia rose slowly. Her voice was clear, controlled, and firm. "Your Honor, every accusation against the Whitaker family is false," she began. She presented the food safety certificates. First, each one signed and dated, proving our compliance. Then came the hospital's report showing the boy had suffered from asthma, not food poisoning. The witness, who had once cried so dramatically, now looked down, unable to meet the judge's eyes. Finally, Mia lifted the paper that ended all the signed waiver from Amber's own hand. Mrs. Cole not only relinquished all rights to her ex-husband's assets, Mia said, she also orchestrated a deliberate campaign to destroy his family's business. The courtroom fell silent. Amber's face drained of color. The judge adjusted his glasses, his voice steady. "The court rejects Miss Cole's claims of custody and property. Furthermore, there is sufficient evidence for a defamation counterclaim." As the gavel struck, Amber stood frozen, her performance finally over. When we stepped out of the courthouse, the afternoon sun felt different, brighter, almost forgiving. The reporters who had once crowded around Amber now turned their cameras toward us. I didn't answer. I just held Jason's hand, and together we walked past them. Outside the gate, our neighbor Donna waited. "Ruth," she said, gripping my hands, "I'm so sorry. We all believed those lies. I should have known better." "It's all right, Donna." I smiled faintly. Sometimes it's easier to believe a rumor than to see the truth. But it's over now. When we got home, Lily came running across the yard, her pigtails flying. "Grandma, Dad, my teacher gave me a gold star today." Jason knelt, lifting her into his arms. For the first time in years, his smile reached his eyes. I stood in the doorway watching them, my heart full. The smell of caramel drifted from the kitchen again. After all the years of pain and silence, our home finally felt like a home again. Looking back, I realized that survival isn't just about having strength. It's about knowing when to reach for help. Pride nearly destroyed my family. If I had called Jason sooner, maybe we could have avoided those years of pain. But life doesn't offer rewinds, only lessons. Here's what I learned and what I hope others might remember. Always read before you sign anything, no matter how much you trust someone. Paper can hold promises or traps. When someone tries to isolate you from the people who love you, don't mistake control for care. Reach out. Say something. Rumors fade, but truth endures. It may take time, but light always finds its way through the cracks. And when it does, it heals more than your name. It heals your heart. Most importantly, never underestimate the power of forgiveness. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the chains of anger so you can protect what truly matters. Today, every time I see Jason laughing with Lily in the shop, I'm reminded that even from the darkest places, families can begin again. Sometimes love just needs a little courage to find its way home. The sun was setting when I locked up the shop that evening. The light poured through the front windows, turning the rows of caramel and coconut candies into gold. Jason was cleaning the counter while Lily hummed softly, packing the last box for delivery. For a long moment, I just stood there, watching them, feeling the quiet peace I had once thought I'd lost forever. We didn't win because we fought harder. We won because we refused to stop believing in one another. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It redefines it. I no longer see the years of distance as wasted time, but as proof that love can survive almost anything. We didn't need to go to Australia to start over. We just needed a kitchen that smelled like sugar and the courage to tell the truth. If this story found you at the right moment, I hope it reminded you that healing is possible. Tap the like button so more people can find it. Share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Maybe you've been through betrayal. Maybe you're still waiting for someone to come home. Either way, I want you to know this. Nothing that's broken stays that way forever. Life will test you. You'll take everything it can. But if you hold on to kindness, to truth, and to the people who stay when everything else falls apart, you'll find your way back just like we did. Because sometimes home isn't a place. It's a moment when you finally stop running, take a deep breath, and realize you made it through.